Good morning and welcome. This is TJ Schultz. I'm the president of the Airport Consultants Council, and I'm sitting here in the fantastic offices of VHB in Boston, Massachusetts. Our current board chair, Carol Lurie with VHB, invited me up here to give a luncheon briefing to a number of ACC member companies on the status of the FAA reauthorization. So I'm looking forward to that. And we are really looking forward to having a good conversation with you all. We are standing up this webinar to really give you a sense of the ACC organization and really more importantly, convey some strategies and ways for you all to make the most out of your membership. We have some great participants in Carol and our Vice Chair, Don Bergen, and we will be running through some activities and ways for you all to make the most out of being members of ACC, and we thank you for taking time to join us. With that, I'm going to introduce Carol Lurie, again with VHB. She is just coming up on the end of her term as the chair of the board, and Carol has just been a wonderful, fantastic, and active participant in ACC and a huge supporter right from the get-go. And I think Carol will be able to convey some of the things that she's gotten out of the organization and what it's meant for her company as well. So Carol, thanks for joining us.
Thanks TJ for that great introduction, and I'm really delighted to have our new members on the phone. Yes, VHB has been a member of ACC for 10 or 15 years now, and I would say that this is, of the professional organizations in the airline and airport industry groups, I personally get the most out of ACC. We have opportunities for networking, opportunities for getting yourselves in front of regulators, teaming, being able to present at conferences, and it is the membership, you really get your money's worth out of it. We're a transportation planning consultant firm. I'm in the aviation division, and we do all types of work, everything from environmental impact statements to sustainability and resiliency work, and really being able to build my practice largely on the connections and the contacts that I've had from ACC. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through. But Don, if you could briefly introduce yourself from Montreal today, and we're very international, this group. So go ahead, Don.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Don Bergen, and I'm the Vice Chair of the ACC Board of Directors, incoming Chair. And I think I'm going to make some comments at the end of the call, but just wanted to say a quick welcome.
Great, thank you. And what I'd like to do as well is introduce you to the terrific staff from ACC sitting in the Washington headquarters office. So Colleen, if you could kindly introduce yourself and tell folks what you do.
Good morning from Washington, D.C. My name is Colleen Flood. I'm the Director of Marketing and Member Services.
Great.
And Chris Spalding here, Coordinator of Communications here at ACC.
Hi, I'm Kristen Scott. I do some membership and administration.
And I'm Matt Griffin. I'm the Director of Regulatory Affairs and Education. Thanks for joining us this morning. We are going to quickly now try to run through the participant list and see if we can get each of you to introduce yourselves. When I say your name, please tell us the company you are with and a short description of your services. In order to do this, we are now going to unmute everyone, so please bear with us as there may be some initial static and feedback. I think first up we have Amir Neiman.
Hi, this is Amir Neiman with Amir Neiman Consulting, focused on security technologies and security in general planning. Former Lee Fisher member, and since beginning of this year, my own company. Excited to be part of this.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amir. Next up, we have Arpit Patel.
Yes, good morning. This is Arpan Patel from SOMAT Engineering. We're based in the Midwest, in Michigan and Ohio, but we have a presence now in Washington, D.C. and Maryland. We are a geotechnical, civil, structural engineering firm, and we've been working with major airports in those capacities for 25 years now. And we're happy to have recently joined ACC and look forward to participating and learning more.
Thanks, Arpan. My apologies mispronouncing your first name there. Carol Schwam.
Good morning. This I hear an echo. This is Carol Schwalm with M2P Consulting. We're a management consulting firm headquartered in Frankfurt, Germany. We have offices in Dubai, New York, and Hong Kong as well. We specialize in travel, transport, and logistics with very deep roots in aviation, working with airlines and airports. We specialize in business operations and strategy.
Thanks, Carol, and I believe you have your colleague Jeffrey on with you as well.
Yes, I do, I think.
Yes, hello everybody. Greetings from our office over here in Dubai.
Well, thanks for joining, Jeff. And finally, Tom, and I probably will mispronounce your last name, so I won't even try.
Well, if you're looking for Tom Nigam, he's not here. Hi, my name is Rod Sen. I'm with KLJ. We are about a 750-person engineering firm with an aviation group. Within our aviation group, we do primarily airport engineering and planning in the upper Midwest.
Thank you, sir. And that's all we have on the list. On the off chance, is there anybody who's just on via phone? All right, thanks for everyone for joining. We probably will go back and mute for the time being for the next bit of conversation, and then we will unmute at the end for Q&A. Back to you, Carol.
Fantastic. So the next
Hi, this is Don. I don't hear any audio.
Yeah, we hit the mute button. Stand by, all. Apologies. Carol, are you
We're on. We're on.
Yeah, we're here. That was a good move, Matt. It's one way to get me off a conference call.
My apologies, everyone. We'll back to you, Carol.
Thank you. All right, if you could advance to the next slide, what I want to do is share with ACC new members what the opportunities you have, and really I think the biggest message that I would give to you is get involved. You've often heard what you put into it is what you get out of it, and this is entirely true for ACC. There are so many unbelievable, wonderful opportunities. It's speaking at conferences, making connections at conferences, being able to be a subject matter expert, whether you host a webinar or you stand up at a training session, FaceTime with senior leadership with FAA and TSA. On the top left corner, we had a wonderful community service opportunity at one of our conferences. It really was wonderful. Security folks, we really have a lot of amazing opportunities. So that's conferences, training, and then I guess a very important piece is getting involved in the ACC committees, and I'll spend a whole slide on that, getting folks involved. So next slide, if you wouldn't go on to that, and we can talk a little bit about what your networking opportunities are. So on a personal level, we have won many jobs simply by being connected with ACC members through teaming opportunities or hearing in advance of projects that are coming by. So whether you're a big firm or you're a small firm, your strategy may be different, but ACC provides that forum for you to do that. There's a terrific weekly email. I'm hoping that you guys get that on a weekly basis. Very large distribution, international and domestic, opportunities for advertisements, heads up on great things that are coming down the pike, so that's a great piece. And then we just introduced you to ACC staff. It's a small staff, but honestly it's probably the most effective and efficient group I've ever come to know. Before I started being in leadership positions, I imagined there were at least 50 people at ACC with all the things that were happening. It's a group of 5 and they're phenomenal. So pick up the phone and speak to them. TJ, maybe you want to just speak to that just a little bit.
Oh, thanks, Carol. And again, we really encourage you to get in touch with us as you need, as needed. I know a couple of you have contacted us in the context of maybe trying to get in touch with some other companies for potential teaming arrangements. And what we'll try to do is set up the lead contact and let that contact know that you'll be contacting them. And hopefully they will pick up the phone and we'll provide some context for you to start the conversation with them. So again, at the end of the day, please feel free to give us a call if you need anything, whether it's related to potentially establishing some relationships with other companies or individuals, or just learning how to get involved in ACC.
Great, thanks, TJ. Another great opportunity we have is getting an amazing amount of exposure. The ACC offers opportunities to speak at conferences, to advertise at conferences, to put sessions together. One of the coveted and most challenging opportunities is hosting our flagship symposium, which is held every year, and I'll talk a little bit more about the conferences and events. Really great face time and great opportunities to get speaking. So you can talk about your expertise and your products at various industry events, and that is really effective. The next thing that we do, which I think is one of the core pieces of ACC's mission, is to serve as an advocacy group for the airport industry, particularly for consultants, and TJ is just a master of this. TJ, can you just speak a little bit about what the kinds of things that ACC does?
Sure, I'd be happy to. And I think many of you are members of ACI and or AAAE, and certainly we do a lot to partner with them in the context of legislation and more funding for airports, and even putting on technical conferences and things like that. But one thing that really sets us apart is the fact that we represent you all as businesses. We are fighting for your, on your behalf, to make sure that we have open competitions, that you all have the capacity to pursue projects as you desire. So as that relates to our advocacy activities, first of all, we certainly keep you up to speed on what's going on in Congress, particularly with the upcoming FAA reauthorization, what will promise to be a very difficult and challenging process. But also, we're very deeply engaged with FAA and TSA, particularly on a very technical level. The FAA and the TSA has really come to us and seen us as being the technical experts, because you all are out there in the field actually implementing all the advisory circulars, all the regulations, all the security standards. So they really come to appreciate us as being their technical partners. And how that manifests itself is we provide updates on and comments on revised advisory circulars, new regulations, security guidelines, and things like that. So we offer you all a voice to have a hand in this, and then also interface with the FAA and TSA decision makers on these decisions and how they're being implemented in the field. One thing that really stands us out as well is the fact that we advocate for and defend on beneficial procurement and contracting provisions. During my time, I've been with ACC for almost 10 years now, and during my time there, we have interceded on about 90 different RFPs and RFQs that haven't necessarily comported with FAA regulations. A lot of that is airports that, whether they know it or not, are skirting around the qualifications-based selection procedures and processes. We're also very straightforward and advocate for beneficial contracting provisions that don't stick all the liability and risks onto the private companies. So that's one thing that, again, really differentiates us between ACI and AAAE. And not only, certainly we have a very key focus on the U.S. market, but we also engage in this on an international front as well, as it relates to providing potential airport opportunities on the international scale, training our companies on how to be successful internationally, and also we're getting engaged in international technical standards as well. We recently provided a number of comments and updates to the IATA ADRMs, the Airport Design Reference Manuals. So again, it's kind of a unique role that we fill, and we've been doing that very well for the past few years.
Thanks, TJ, and it's really, really important. We've had personal experience when an RFP has gone out, and it was based on a low bid, which we know is not an acceptable piece right now, and it is also something that's coming up as part of the new PSC considerations of including various DVE requirements as well. So it's very important that we can play this neutral role without having to advocate on behalf of your own firm. ACC can do that for the industry. So very, very important role. Another piece that we do, which is near and dear to my heart, is training and events. Many of us need to keep up a professional certifications, whether it's AICP or PE or other certifications. And many of the conferences and training sessions that ACC offers provides that opportunity. So that's really kind of an important thing. If you could advance the slide, we can give you some of the examples of the conferences and training sessions that we do. So up in the left corner there is the flagship conference that we host with AAAE. Last year in Denver, we had over 800 people. The vendors and the exhibitors were completely sold out. We had representatives from the FAA coming. It was fantastic. This year, we're going to be, this next year in early March, we're going to be in Salt Lake City, which is a terrific opportunity. And we always pair this with some kind of skiing or outdoor event after the conference, which our members really love. The next conference that we're very proud of is for the Security Manufacturers Workshop, Security Coalition Workshop. It's held in DC. TJ can talk briefly about this, but we have a special arm, the Security Manufacturers Coalition. It's a special arm of ACC representing the security industry with an enormous amount of advocacy work. And this is attended by high-level TSA, Homeland Security folks. And we use this as an opportunity to surface issues. And frankly, the regulators have come to rely on ACC in reviewing regulations, reviewing guidelines. So we play a very, very important role in the industry and actually influence policy. Then the next conference coming up, I'm waiting for the picture. Yes, so that is our Airport Technical Workshop. That is held in DC, and it's held usually around July. It's very technical. As you know, the FAA has had some travel, federal employees have had travel restrictions in recent years. And because we're in DC, we can really get federal folks from TSA, FAA to come to our conferences. Last time we had over 25 representatives. Talk about space time. You literally can sit next to the FAA or TSA representative that you want to get hold of who's in headquarters and have lunch with them and get to know them. So that has been a really, really rewarding opportunity. The sessions are put on by the committees and hosted by the committee chairs. So it's really substantive. The next conference we have, let's see what the photo comes up. Yeah, our annual conference. I love the annual conference. It's held alternating coasts, West Coast, East Coast. This year it's going to be in November in Newport Beach, California. Last year it was in Florida at Sanibel, which is fantastic. So this is a slightly different flavor. This is about business, how you run your business, how you nurture your staff, how to do some teaming. It's not necessarily technical, but it's all about business opportunities and business practices. We have a special awards lunch to recognize folks in the industry. I'm very excited for this conference. So please, if you want to try us out, I'd really encourage you to do that. And then the last conference that we'll talk about that's coming up is our Global Business Summit, and I'm super, super excited about this. This is something where our global committee has been putting this on. And this year, we're partnering with the British Aviation Group, BAG, and we're hosting this in London. So kudos to TJ in making this work. Donna's going to be opening up the session, introducing us. Members from around the country are going to be there, and we'll be meeting our colleagues, our international colleagues. I know some international folks are on the line. Come on down and meet with us. It's going to be a great conference. It's held near the Tower Bridge, and going to be a wonderful time. So that's really what I wanted to talk about on that group. The next thing I wanted to touch on briefly is something that's near and dear to me personally. One of my personal goals as Airports Consultants Chair this year was to help develop and promote our young professionals. Very keen on having our YPs, bringing up the next generation of folks, and kudos to Matt and Chris in particular who've done a superb job with this. So we have opportunities for, we have a webinar group that we have online training through webinars. At conferences, we provide young professional sessions. The one in Denver was attended by, I don't know, 60 people, and not all of them were YPs. Old people like me went as well and had a fabulous time. We had a competition which allowed YPs to go out and meet the people at the conference. It was fantastic. At our November conference, we're going to be doing a little session on how to help folks who've never been to a conference before get to know folks. How do you greet people? How do you behave professionally? We're calling it schmooze training. So I'll be heading up that session. And then we also have speed dating opportunities where young professionals can get to meet other folks at conferences or events in a very direct but not particularly scary opportunity. So the YPs is really an outstanding place to nurture and encourage your staff. TJ is going to talk a little bit about our communications. We're fully in the social media cloud right now. Chris has done a super job. He even set me up with a tweeting account, a Twitter account, which we'll be tweeting today about our session that we're having at lunchtime. And TJ, do you want to chat a little bit about all the things that we're doing?
Indeed. At the beginning, we were talking about getting involved and really using ACC to help advance your company. And this is one way to do that. We have our ACC Weekly, which goes out every Thursday. I hope you all receive that. If you don't, please let us know. But that is really a compendium of various airport-related articles, both U.S. and international. But we also use that weekly to talk about ACC and all the activities and the number of industry events that are going on. And we have some sections for our member companies to make announcements. They can talk about a recent project win. They can talk about a new person that they hired. So again, use the weekly, inform us of any kind of news that you might have. We'd be happy to include that in our weekly. And we also have social media as well. Chris does a great job of sending out a number of topics relating to ACC and the members. So he's tweeting and retweeting all the time. So if there's something that you want to go out via social media, be sure to go in and like us and connect with us, and we'll be happy to retweet your messages out.
Great. And then the last piece I'm really linking back to the theme that we had in the beginning is getting involved. This is how I started at ACC. A colleague from Florida said, come join ACC, it's a great organization. So I sat in on a technical workshop in DC and got connected with the environmental committee. Well, before I'd left that meeting, I was co-chair. And you kind of get co-opted in a good way, but it put me front and center with ACC leadership and really worked hard on that environmental committee, putting sessions together, webinars, encouraging members to join. And it grew from there, and I think I've probably gone through all the committees and all the positions, and it's just the most rewarding thing that I do as part of my professional career. So there are a bunch of, if you just go to the next slide, there's tons of opportunities. If you're interested in engineering, security, globalization, please get involved. Typically at each conference there are committee meetings, and then we'll do interim meetings during the year. TJ.
And one thing you mentioned, the fact that through the leadership really is an opportunity for you to have direct interface with FAA and TSA as well. And all that is in the context of either any kind of regulations or advisory circular updates or guidelines that are being updated, but also in the context of developing some of our technical conferences as well. You will interface with federal regulatory decision makers in working with the ACC committees.
Cool. Thanks, TJ. And then I guess that's pretty much what we wanted to say. There's tons of opportunities to get to know ACC. I would suggest you go to the Facebook page and like the Facebook page. You'll get all sorts of probably embarrassing photographs of members, but a lot of fun. We'll be tweeting. LinkedIn is a great group, and obviously Google Plus is terrific. So I think that's what we wanted to share with you today. And Don, if there's any 2 seconds you'd like to say, I've spoken about it from a consultant's perspective. Could you give us a brief perspective of what it is since you're a vendor, and then we're going to open it up for questions.
Sure. The company I work for, Blast Deflectors, or BDI, is, as Carol said, a vendor. We supply jet blast deflectors to airports. So we're 100% airport focused. And we're very active in other associations. In fact, this week I'm attending a AAA conference in Montreal. But we really put our main effort behind ACC for a number of reasons. Number one being the instant network. Carol's practice really doesn't overlap too much with what BDI does. But I know that if I'm pursuing a project in the Northeast and I've run into a roadblock, I can call Carol and say, Carol, I'm trying to get in at such and such airport. Who do you suggest that I speak with? And it's that type of interaction that has been extremely valuable for BDI and other ACC members, the concept of an instant network. And as Carol said earlier, it's an excellent value for the benefit we get out of it, which is why we really put our primary networking energy and dollars behind ACC. We send our staff to the technical events, particularly our younger staff, who get great benefit from particularly the symposium and being active in the Young Professionals Network. And of course, access to the FAA has gotten us out of some very challenging situations, all as a result of access to those regulatory agencies that ACC provides. Lastly, I'm really looking forward to attending the Global Business Summit in London, first week of December. ACC really has become, and it's shifted in the last 10 years, a global association. We have members based in the Gulf. Jeffrey, there are ACC members who are U.S.-based but active in the Gulf, but also who are purely GCC-based companies. Many ACC members are active, for example, in India. Arpan, I saw on your website that you have an office in Bangalore. That's pretty interesting, and I could see many ACC members turning to you for advice about that region, but also potentially bringing opportunities to you for projects they're pursuing in that region. Really looking forward to a great 2016 as incoming board chair, which will occur, I guess, at the ACC annual conference coming up here in a month or so, and look forward to meeting each of you in person at some point in the near future.
Thank you, Don. That was a wonderful way to wrap things up. The one last point that I'll make, and then we're going to open it up for questions, is that this is a collaborative organization. What's really interesting is sometimes when you go to different organizations, there's quite a lot of competition and not wanting to share. You don't have that at ACC. We're very collaborative, very team-oriented, and because we're all working for the good of the industry and the good of the consultant side, and it just has a different atmosphere. So with that, I'd like to thank ACC staff and TJ for being on the phone with us, and Don and Matt, if you could open up the lines for our wonderful new members to ask any questions of us, I'd really appreciate it, and thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carol. We have actually opened up the lines and everybody is unmuted. Before we jump to questions, we did have one additional person log in as the presentation was taking place, Debbie Corkin. Debbie, could you just identify the organization you're with and just short a bit on your services?
Yes, I'm with Bay Defense USA, located near Dallas, Texas, and we are a provider of security solutions, both perimeter in terms of a fence manufacturer as well as integrated security solutions.
Thank you very much. So the lines are open. If you have questions, there may be an onslaught here, but just go ahead and ask them.
Hi, TJ and Carol. This is Amir. Thank you for the very informative webinar. Oh.
Here we go.
Okay. I think that's better.
Yeah, we heard lots of you there, Amir. You know, if you have your phone and your computer on, you might want to mute your, I don't know which one or the other, whichever you're speaking through. If you could mute your other device, would be fantastic.
Absolutely, I will do that. I just wanted to ask a quick question. Give us some examples for new members of ways which we can get more involved, you know, volunteer, be active in ACC. Just give us a few examples, because I'm definitely interested in hearing about these and doing a little bit more.
Sure. TJ is going to take that question, and then I can follow up.
I think first and foremost are the committees that we mentioned. Great opportunity to get involved with some peers and understand what's going on, the latest from FAA or TSA and things like that. But I look at our events too, and in fact, one thing I want to mention to you all is the big design symposium. We are going to be opening up registration very soon, and the specific technical workshops and sessions, all the topics will be released. And when that is done, we will be able to solicit any potential speakers or moderators and things like that. We can't absolutely promise you a speaking slot, but we will certainly do all we can, particularly new members, to get you engaged and on program on a program at this great event. And if it's not this event, it's any other kind of technical training. We also, one thing we didn't really touch on are the webinars. We offer a number of webinars over the course of a year, very, very diverse topics as well. A lot of very heavy engineering, pavement-related webinars, to planning and NEPA, to a number of security webinars as well. So if you or you and another ACC member company want to stand up a technical webinar or an informational webinar, that's a great way to get out to a broad audience. And we'd be happy to facilitate that as well. So really it's kind of, and finally our annual conference, I would urge you all to try to attend the annual conference, because that's really a good opportunity to get to know the peers and get to know the organization, and it's a very focused on networking as well and developing the relationships with other potential teaming members. So those are just some ideas that we have right now, and certainly I'll be willing to work with you on an individual basis to see what we can do.
Great. Other questions? Wow, we did a good job, you guys.
This is Carol. It's hard to believe that the whole summer passed by since we met and chatted. We are planning to have a member of our team come out to California, and we'd like to pick up that networking opportunity with you in perhaps meeting with other colleagues from other companies.
And thank you for bringing that up. One thing I didn't mention about the annual conference is that we have forced networking under the guise of speed dating. We have 3 speed dating sessions. We have 2 of those are focused on primarily the larger companies will host tables, and then we have one that will have some airport clients host tables as well. And this year we're talking about what we'd like to do is work with you and ensure that the new members have the opportunities to make some appointments. And if it doesn't work out in the context of the speed dating, we can work with you to make sure that you can make a connection and get introduced at the conference itself. So I'll be happy to help you with that, Carol.
Great.
Excellent.
Great. Sounded like there was another question.
Yeah, actually, Carol's colleague, Jeffrey, over here. I had one question. So obviously the speed dating item and the November conference will be a great way to network and get more known. As I think maybe some of you know, we're M2P, a smaller company with a more international footprint, less of a footprint at the moment in the U.S. In addition to those type of conferences and networking, do you guys have any advice, or is there anything that you can do to also, let's say, promote some of the thoughts and perspectives that we are obviously pushing maybe outside of the U.S.? TJ, if you'll recall, when we met in Washington, there were definitely some initiatives that are gaining more and more appetite to airports in the U.S., but at the moment we really don't have an efficient vehicle to spread those ideas besides, at a networking event. But be it in terms of sharing ideas or writing articles maybe in some of your various newsletters, is there any advice that you can share to how we can kind of expand our marketing awareness if we have
Absolutely.
ideas?
Absolutely. I did mention the webinars, and we've stood up a number of webinars on some international trends and perspectives that have been very successful. And the thing about our webinars is we have a number of ACC member companies join, but also airports. Airports are very interested in and engage very heavily in our webinars. You mentioned articles, and our ACC Weekly, I'm working with Chris to stand up opportunities for member companies to submit technical articles that we will feature in our weekly. So we want to get some more unique content from the membership on trends and initiatives that are taking place, and feature that on a recurrent basis in our newsletter as well. And that's something that you can take back and send out through your own media and show that you participated in an ACC webinar or published an article in the ACC a newsletter as well. And finally, the conferences, the symposium Others, we often try to find, get outside the U.S. and talk about things that are going on internationally that might resonate here. The Global Business Summit as well might be a good opportunity because we have a number of U.S. Consultants that attend that. So Jeffrey, I'll be happy, obviously, to work with you and kind of figure out what makes sense for you all.
Okay,
Terrific.
that sounds terrific. And yeah, Carol and I will definitely follow up. That's great. Thanks, TJ. Thanks, Carol.
That's wonderful. And folks, we have time for one last question before we get ready for our lunchtime seminar that we're doing here. Anybody else want to inquire anything, or are we ready to wrap up? Okay. Well, I really want to thank everybody for participating. This is an open and just a wonderful organization. We would love to hear from you, and any questions that you have, please contact ACC staff or me directly, and I'm hoping that we'll see you all at the annual conference or at another event coming to your city soon. TJ, I think I'm done. Anything else we need to chat about today?
That's it. Thanks so much. Let us know if you have any other additional questions. Feel free to shoot us an email. We're happy to help. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Have a terrific
Thank
weekend.
you.
See you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.